Happy Friday, everybody! Yeah, it's one of those weeks that was unexpected by me because I was gearing up for Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion to come out next week. I don't know why I just read the date wrong. Like, excuse me. I just thought it was coming off on the 8th, but no, that's the month, and the day is the 5th, which is today, and not too long ago, it just got a patch. Yeah, so it's all good in the hood. Um, and also, Mech Warrior Shadow of Kerensky coming full circle to include all the Tan collect. I can't believe I just said that. Clan Tech. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a early morning for me. I got up this morning. I started taking this brand new pre-workout, and it works so well. Right, like the other one, I had to take like 2 scoops of it, and it was just like making me sick. Like I couldn't even get through 1 scoop, let alone two, and I was just like, ugh. This one is like it's still powerful, and it's like I feel it more than the other one, and it only takes 1 scoop, so it's just like I'm you know I'm gonna start doing that like shortly after this video. I hope you're all doing well, ladies, gentlemen, Hassan, Ethan, Frogon, yeah, everybody, Sungrad. Shout outs to like everybody, my guy, everybody, Samson, Noah Samson, Vosh. Oh, why am I shouting out all these people? Because it's like, okay, at some point we all have to acknowledge that there is a global concerted cover up to make people, certain individuals, rich. Maybe it's like a class of people, like ageism, make them rich, control people's freedoms, limit their ability to profit, and thus maximize the profit of property owners. Like case in point, just home ownership in Toronto in general. The housing market is crashing, and I don't know the economics behind it all because I just I just go down to do shit. Like I gotta grab some things. I gotta see some things. It's like honestly the most exercise I've had since I used to go long distance jogging, because yeah, I could go on my exercise elliptical for 30-40 minutes, but I'm just sweating, and then eventually if I go for too long I'll break the machine because I'm so heavy. And I don't know, all my legs ratio, the weight muscle is in there, and then the rest is just basically average. But I hope everybody's well, because there is a cover up. Come on, there is one. There is one. I'm using a brand new microphone and headset for everybody, so they can enjoy my clarity. I notice I sound really flamboyant when I don't have that you know boxy radio voice type headset. Makes you sound like I'm a commentator, a sports commentator, or some shit like that. But no, no more games. 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 I need some asthma medication right now. Uh, because here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are fighting a war of information. Like, I know I'm gonna sound lame coming off saying this, but Metal Gear Solid 2 was right. In fact, I'll go as far as to say Metal Gear Solid 2 and parts of 4, maybe not completely, but only parts of 4 were correct. It still ignored the whole religious, aspect about why wars are fought and stuff. But getting drones, getting people to fight your wars, proxy wars, very much. Say what you want about Hideo Kojima, but one thing is for certain: he is not stupid. We are in a world that uses disinformation to wage wars. And what's more frightening is how people feed into that engine of disinformation. So I'll just give you an example, right? I was just chatting up a storm, and like my friends, stream and shit, right? And some guy, right? And I'm guessing he's not happy about the videos I made about his country and shit, because he's like, yo, he knows I'm right. He knows for a fact that those guys are gonna get incarcerated. He knows for a fact that after they're incarcerated and stuff, like there's only so many prison guards, there's only so many prisoners that are gonna, like, protect, people against the butt sex, the anal raping, the jail booty call, you know, the call of booty in the Indonesian jails. And it shall breed, because we're talking about numbers, right? We're talking about numbers. It's going to breed the largest population of homosexuals on the planet. And when they get out, if they're not dead, they're basically, you know, they're off the deep end. They can't be accounted for. They're not rational, and most likely they can be manipulated out of anger, vengeance, lust, whatever it is. And here we are, trying to cover it up, trying to pretend like it's not such a big deal. And he's like, he wants to fight me, because I was like talking about how I want to splice my genes and stuff. I'm telling you guys, like, the idea that you can get like a leg up, or you can be better, or do anything to like change your outcome is gonna piss these people off because it's like, you know what I mean? Like, they know for a fact that the biggest problem in their life isn't just themselves. It's like everybody else that has their names, everybody else that has like, a face that looks like them. And we all know what I'm talking about, right? Like, I don't have to get into too much emphasis because I know what that's like on my side. And like there's multiple reasons as to why I would like leave Hinduism behind. But mostly it's just, for the weightlifting, the heavy lifting aspect and stuff, and the fact that I need to eat red meat, specifically beef. So, that goes away. But it's also the trust. You know, I swear to you, man, like sometimes I think to myself that maybe it was my fault, but then looking back, I couldn't have been more wrong in the way that, like, how am I blaming myself, right, for being dark skinned, or being like someone who doesn't speak a specific language that neither of my parents speak, or nobody in my family speaks it, right? So like, why am I to be blamed for that? But I was just naive at that time, because like, your greatest enemy are the ones that cover this shit up, because they want the losers, they want the genetic dead ends, basically. The inbreds, the retards, they want them to reproduce, they want them to propagate, and the human race suffers. And going back to like how women like have desires and traits that they want to see in males, right? Like, eventually, from their point of view, even if you have recessive genes, eventually like the positive genes will breed out the negative genes, and you won't have things like, people under a certain height, people with like who lose their hair at like very young ages, people who with like, bone issues, like whatever. Like, natural selection is natural selection, right? Like, you are going to be repulsed by someone with like, like emaciated look to them, or like they're, whatever, overweight, or just full of diseases, or something like that, right? Right? Even the mental disposition, right? Where people like have, like in the case of these two girls and all these men who attack them, like these are people who have like mental issues to the point where they see, like this girl, these two girls, and like, yes, you could argue that from their warped perception, that the fact that they're walking around with like, I think one of them had like a really short skirt, like, and from their warped perception, mind you, this isn't reality. We're just using their view as a means of understanding their disposition. Like that's why it's like, okay, they see in their society a girl who dresses like this is going to be shunned and not likely to be protected, and like even if she like speaks out about her mistreatment, people are going to be like, well, maybe you shouldn't dress like that type of thing. And the cover up is greater than we people could have possibly predicted. So what I'm getting at is, what if the cover up doesn't just try to protect these specific individuals from these like nationalities, whatever, right? Illegal immigrants or religious groups and stuff. What if it's to act as a smokescreen to protect the rest of them? The ones that they're born here or they're born there, and they're like, scary stuff, huh? What if it were true and it was being covered up right in front of you, right in front of your face? Just like, nah, 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 nah. Just like, and they use girls, they use women, advertisers, governments, organizations. Like, make no mistake, DEI is very much using minorities and women as human shields from criticism. So when you criticize, the conduct or like, the way that, services are received or like the product, whatever, quality, all that stuff, you criticize, oh, it's because you hired these DEI hires, but you never know, like, what if like the company wanted to, from the very jump, be, just cut corners and then just use these people as human shields, right? And I think the same has very much occurred for women. And it takes no look further than this recent shooting in Minnesota and this like trans guy. And his own mom was like, she secretly knew that he wasn't like, 100% totally into it or this or that, but she had to like, reaffirm his mental delusions, his, this mania that he had, and being the woman that she is, and like minorities are very much used the same way. Just as why I style on Sean the Black so much is because, like, how did you not know that, just because you're a black guy, that is the reason why, Hassan's using you in this, like, takedown of Ethan Klein and stuff, right? Because you could argue that, oh, it was this criticism in the past over these, like, clearly, like, outlandish things that I said, but like, yo, dude, you don't really know anything about this guy, or like, really sat down and talked to him. Like, you very much were the token black guy, the useful idiot of Hassan's brigade, where he uses like all these people to jab at, his former co-host. And like the craziest thing is like how nice Ethan was to Hassan, just how nice, and like how, like, he used his naivety to his advantage. Hassan being the guy who wanted to cover it up. He wanted to cover it up. Everyone wants to cover it up. It's a cover up. It's the cover up. The news, they want to cover it up. Bad things are happening, you know what I mean? Okay, let me get you one. Because it's like, yo, what is an Azure video unless I style on the Sikhs as for the usual. As for the usual. Fuck. Okay, I can actually pull up the video and see where exactly this guy's from. I think it's somewhere in America, right? And they do the whole trucking thing, and he pulls into this, like, truck station, whatever, and like, knifes this like lady, and like the details are very very sketch, but like, okay, well, for what I can like tell and stuff, like, again, not only is he like a Sikh and stuff, and like full on turban and shit, but like the guy, has all these pulleys around him who look more or less the same, and it's just like, yes, yes, this is very much, the reality of, this practice. Fuck, I got the wrong video. Okay, but whatever, right? Like the cover of these Sikhs doing like these bad things, and it's just not gonna stop. Oh, Zaya, there it is. Love Truck Stop, because his name is Love Preet. I was walking by like Scotiabank, this like whatever, this bank inside Yorkdale. This guy is like he's his tailor. He's like, so his name is Love Preet. I was like, yo, that's how you know your dad hates you. They named you Love Preet. Your dad hates you. Well, I bring and I only bring this up because it's like you're not gonna hear it in the news. You're not gonna know anything about it, and like the circumstances around it are so strange, right? Like it's just this guy he pulls into like this trucking stop that's like serves food or whatever, and there's like this lady, and then like he just stabs her and shit. And like if I were to venture a guess as to why this has occurred, most likely it is due to the fact that there's a crackdown. They're gonna get these guys with like don't have their paperwork in order or very much illegal out of the state, out of the country. And you can even see the way he looks looking at it right now. He's like looking right back at the camera. Oh man, these guys are so fucking batshit stupid lost, man. It's just like, why even bother? At some point, you have to like take a concession and just accept the human race is better off without you. And this is like the point I'm trying to make with this fucking video because I'm in like fucking rambling for the goddamn past 16 plus minutes. So, okay. Me and Andrew Tate, we're like, polar opposites, if you will. Right? Like he's pushing for that, soft play on homosexuality, telling you to look the other way for that trans looking Megan Fox man. I wouldn't tell you to do that, ladies and gentlemen. Do not fall for that shit. You can say no to both. How about that? You say no to both. If you're not attracted to a woman that is unattractive, then you don't have to have sex. In fact, you're better off because has people ever asked themselves, it's like, okay, these actions that very much are serialized, nonsense on the television, like, do they think about what that would do, how that would affect their children? And yeah, this guy's in Boron, California, so it's Love Pizza. So it's probably like the same CDL trucking company. Well, technically that company got liquidated. It magically disappeared. But again, like the reason why like this video is so important is that there has to be a counter strike against these cover-ups, right? And it isn't even so much that in order to fight against it, to repel it, um, that I need to be subtle in my approach, and I don't think anybody else will. And when you think about it, it's kind of cute how, if you think about it coming full circle, like Andrew Tate and all these alpha males were emulating the man that you always were, but like put all this other unnecessary bullshit over it. That their abuse of women, the way they treat them, this and that. But like being, I wouldn't say an alpha male because that's just like fucking lame. But being the one who stands out in the crowd, I suppose, is very much a necessity. And it's not for me to say, it is very much for her to say. And that is why it's necessary to say it. You have to, stand up for yourself, to stand up for them, to stand up for the human race. Because, like I said, we're winning, but we're also dealing with like the fallout of what that means. Because, like, like you play video games or like you watch TV, and you always have these like very um, comfortable conclusions. Like it's all too perfect the way things are resolved and work in like things are worked out right, basically. And obviously, people know that it's not always the case. That it's actually probably contrary to the truth. And yeah, that's a reality that I'm living right now, and I think a lot of other guys are living it. And a lot of girls, sadly young ones, they're living it. Where we're forced into this together. I know there are probably like a lot of people who don't want to accept the fact that your gender will sell you out, and this idea that you have to conform to society, and their endless lies and nonsensory. Like it's just it's for their profit margin. Like this is it's like beyond obvious at this point, right? So the Counter Strike is not only just against them, but it's against their progress into the future, because they've made it so fundamentally easy to do so, right? Like by propheticizing like these false male gurus, because as much as people want to point the finger at like these male red pill coaches, like in a way they are an emulation of like the Hollywood government movie esque male sex appeal that was commercialized and advertised to the whole human race, from The Rock to like Brad Pitt to like all these different actors. Like it's all come out that it's nothing, and it's a war that they've lost, and now we have to like deal with the aftermath of it all. But thanks for watching. Take care.